There's a viral video going around right now with Andrew Huberman, and he's talking about, any cheap form of dopamine, any easy access to dopamine is ultimately going to destroy you in the long run. And I've had my own fair share of experiences with this, whether it be through drugs, alcohol, porn, doom scrolling, chasing validation, all these cheap hits of dopamine just to make yourself feel good instantly. Ultimately, what's going to happen is it's going to come back and destroy you in the long run, because it's just this never-ending cycle. You're never going to feel fully satisfied. You're always going to be chasing a newer high and more excitement and more dopamine, and you're never going to be fully fulfilled no matter what you do, right? And he gives this example, anything that you can just easily take out of a bag and, smoke, or anything that you can just open a bottle and drink, anything easily accessible, anything that's going to make you feel great or, give you that hit of dopamine instantaneously will ultimately destroy you in the long run. And it's absolutely true. And, we're all addicted to cheap dopamine. All right. I know I was. For the longest time, I was constantly addicted to scrolling on my phone. Okay. Always getting the hits of dopamine. I would be driving in the car and scrolling Instagram. All right, imagine that. All right, after work, I could not go home and just chill. All right, I had to either be smoking something, I had to either be drinking something, just constantly keeping myself stimulated. And I know a lot of people are like that, maybe even worse, I don't know. But you have to come to a point and realize that it's this never-ending cycle and it's going to end up destroying you. But even that's not enough, because once you get to that point, and you realize, damn, I shouldn't be smoking weed all the time. Damn, I shouldn't be scrolling on my phone all the time. You're already addicted. You're already in the cycle. So even if you know that it's not good for you, you can't just snap out of it. It's not that easy. It's not that cut and dry. Once you're addicted, it's hard to actually break the cycle. But, consider yourself lucky even to be in this situation, because you have the opportunity. You have the chance to completely reinvent yourself. You can completely reinvent yourself, reinvent your life. All right. And you do that by cutting out the stimulants. All right. So cutting out the doom scrolling, cutting out the alcohol, cutting out the weed. All right. Cut out the stimulants, all of it. All right. We say it all the time. Success is a removal process. Once you remove all the vices out of your life, that's when you can actually start to build upon your life. And that's when the good things can actually start to happen to you. But it's never going to happen while you're still addicted to that drink and addicted to that smoke. It's never going to happen. Not the way that you want it to, at least. So that's step number one. Just cut out the stimulants, cut out the vices. And then number two, build on real habits and build real discipline. And the way to build discipline is forcing yourself to do what is uncomfortable. All right. But it's got to be the stuff that you know that you should be doing. All right. You know that you should be going to bed at a certain time and not scrolling. So force yourself to do that. All right, give it a week. Give it 3 days even. All right, even just, win today. Just focus on one day at a time. Just set your bedtime routine and go to bed on time. Something simple, something that you have complete control over. All right, it might not be easy. It might be uncomfortable, but you can force yourself to go to bed at a certain time and not scroll on your phone. All right, you can force yourself to wake up in the morning, get out of bed without hitting snooze and not going on your phone. When you get out of work, you can force yourself to just not buy a drink, not to buy weed, whatever your vice is. All right, and once you do that for a few days, it's going to be uncomfortable at first, but number one, you're going to realize how much time that you have available to you now. You have so much extra time on your plate now because you're not focused on getting high and getting these cheap forms of dopamine. So it's like I said before, now you can actually start building upon your life. Now with your clear head, you can realize, all right, what do I actually need to do in my life? What is actually going to give me purpose? What is actually going to fulfill me? All right. And if that's teaching people, go ahead and do that. If that's training people in the gym, go ahead and do that. If that's just getting your own life in order and getting, in shape for yourself, then go ahead and do that. You're going to figure out what is going to give you real purpose in this life. All right, it's going to be that like little voice in the back of your head and that gut feeling like, damn, I know I should be doing this. And you're going to go and do it, and you're going to feel amazing for doing it. But you're never going to have that voice in your head if you are getting high all the time and you're craving that cheap dopamine. It's never going to happen. And even if you do have that voice in your head, you're never going to act on it, because you're going to hear that voice, but then you're going to numb it and tune it out with the dopamine. Okay? You're going to be scrolling on your phone, you're going to be drinking, you're going to be smoking, you're going to be going back to your vices, and you're just going to be stuck in a loop for the rest of your life. I mean, you're going to be stuck in a loop for the rest of your life until you actually come out and fix it. So do you want to be stuck where you're currently at for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? Probably not. Probably not. So, just get ahead of it. Get ahead of it, cut out the vices, and build on your life. All right, do not let cheap dopamine ruin your life. There's no reason for it. Okay, build that discipline. Build that discipline to say no. And force yourself to do uncomfortable things that you should be doing, but it's just uncomfortable because instead of doing these hard things, normally you'd be smoking and drinking. All right, try that out. I'm going to give you a challenge. Do it for 3 days straight. Something simple. Going to bed with no phone, waking up with no phone. Okay, 2 simple steps. Go to bed with no phone, wake up with no phone. Do that for 3 days. You're going to have mental clarity throughout the day. You're going to realize that you have more time in your life. You're going to realize that you have control in your life. Finally, for the first time in your life, you have control. And then you can start building on your life from there. All right, guys, that's the video for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.